This is KGW News at Sunrise.
The initial reaction was, how do we serve? How do we, and I think that's something that all of our Hawaii people are really doing, right? Like, our first initial is, how do we help?
How to help a community that's in desperate need of it. Coming up, we'll share the latest on the devastation caused by the wildfire that ripped through the heart of Maui this week. And we'll also share ways we can all help the people who call the island home.
And a big story as we head into the weekend and early next week, we're talking heat. We're expecting multiple days of 100-degree temperatures. Rod's got all the details coming up in his forecast. Plus,
I was like, who is that? Now I know.
Yes, heroes, Rod. A backlog of 800 people want their shot at a trip to space now after those 3 civilian astronauts we just saw a moment ago celebrated their successful visit to space yesterday. We're going to have more on this giant leap for space tourism coming up at 5:25.
wow, so cool. Can't wait to hear more about that. Glad you're here with us on this Friday. Rod, I know tons to talk about weather-wise.
Yeah, the weekend is going to be, Sunday's the first day you'll notice it getting really hot.
Turn the heat up.
We began with the fact that we're now getting close enough to that 100-degree run that the Weather Service has popped up an excessive heat watch. This is Monday through Thursday, the days with the highest confidence of hitting 100 degrees or better. It looks to me to be a temperature potential of 100 to 105. And I haven't changed the forecast. It's just that now we're getting closer, so the excessive heat watch has been popped up. And notice the dark brick color. This does include Kelso Longview all the way down I-5 through Eugene. It includes you folks in the gorge out through Hood River. So more on that coming up, of course. In the meantime, it is gorgeous out there. No marine push to be found at this moment. 63 is the early temperature. It's clear, as you just saw. 74 at noon. Warming up a little bit this afternoon, but we'll call it comfortable compared to what the 7-day shows. 86 this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Investigators with the Marion County Sheriff's Office say they are looking for a missing woman with early onset dementia. Take a look at your screen. She is 74-year-old Teresita Lemus. The Sheriff's Office says she was last seen around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon walking on Embassy Way Northeast near Chemeketa College campuses, or the Chemeketa College campus in Salem. Lemus was wearing all black with an American flag lanyard and a yellow watch, carrying 2 black purses. If you have any information, call the Sheriff's Office.
Officials in Maui say the death toll from the wildfires that tore through the island this week now stands at 55, and that number is expected to grow. The town of Lahaina was hardest hit, and this latest video shows just how devastating the damage is there. People were vacationing here at the start of this week. More importantly, people were living and working here at the start of the week, but now much of the town is unrecognizable. The latest update shows the Lahaina fire is 80% contained at this point, but it will take years and billions of dollars to repair the damage.
Yeah, the video is super hard to watch. The situation heartbreaking for a lot of Hawaiians in Oregon as they watch all of this unfold.
KGW's Alma McCarty brings us more on that.
The federal government will be supporting our full recovery.
But before the island of Maui, the town of Lahaina can begin to recover and rebuild long term, officials say they must address the most pressing needs: food, water, shelter, and power, while combing through the areas destroyed by the fires.
It's still very, very hazardous in the burn areas. Also bringing in some search and rescue teams that help with cadaver dogs to look for human remains, and they're on the way in right now.
As emergency crews fly in, thousands of visitors fly out.
We jumped out of the car and ran as fast as we could and got out.
NBC News caught up with Amy Springsteen as she headed home to Oregon. She says this is what's left of her Maui rental car. While on her way to dinner, she says flames took over the street.
There was debris everywhere, fire falling down on top of us, but we got out safe.
My heart was just ripped open. I mean, devastated. I saw the images of the entire town being burned, just black, and I could not believe it.
In Oregon, Chris Nalongo has spent the past 2 days restless, checking in with family and friends still on the island. Many communication lines on Maui have been down.
You feel helpless and hopeless for them, right? We just sit and wait for updates. As people are being located, we're getting updates on that. But we are still getting updates on people who are still missing and trying to be located. So it's hard. It's hard to carry on knowing that your family is in danger.
Despite the tragedy still unfolding, relief efforts started up quickly.
The initial reaction was, how do we serve? How do we, and I think that's something that all of our Hawaii people are really doing, right? Like our first initial is, how do we help?
Lealoa Kaula is executive director of Kalo HCC, the local chapter of the Hawaiian Civic Club. They're actively working to effectively support the families who've lost everything, including the homes they've lived in for generations.
They're all going to need to rebuild. We need to rebuild Lahaina. So our future, what we're looking for is, how do we help them in the long run? Because Lahaina will rebuild, and they're going to need all of us.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
If you're in a position to help the people of Maui, there's a donation site that we can now pass along to you. We're partnering with the American Red Cross on the KGW Northwest Response Fund. Volunteers are on the island, Red Cross volunteers, opening shelters and providing evacuees there with a safe place to stay. So text the word FIRE to that number on your screen, 503-226-5088, and we'll text you back with a link to donate to the fund. You can also donate in person at any local U.S. bank branch or through our website, kgw.com.
Well, crews spent the night keeping a close eye on a wildfire burning east of Sweet Home in Lynn County. The sheriff's office says the Wiley fire has burned about 220 acres and is now 5% contained. People in the area are on level 1 and 2 evacuation orders, meaning they need to be ready to leave if the fire starts spreading quickly. Green Peter Reservoir remains closed, but you can check the Lynn County Sheriff's website on your screen for the latest evacuation information.
When it comes to fighting fires in Oregon, volunteers are instrumental. In fact, 94% of all departments in the state depend on volunteers, but the number of volunteers that are stepping up is going down. KGW investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi recently spent some time in Tillamook County to see how one small fire department there is dealing with the issue. Roughly 2/3 of the staff at Nestucca's Rural Fire District are volunteers. But again, finding those volunteers has become more and more difficult.
Do you worry about the future at all, as far as getting enough people to answer the call?
Yes, all the time. My biggest concern is that there's going to be some day that I have to make that decision that we got to let that call go, and that worries me.
The biggest reason people give for not volunteering is time, and the training needed to become a firefighter has gotten longer. Kyle introduced us to some of the volunteers last night during his report on the story. You can watch that full report on KGW's YouTube page.
This weekend, a really cool event to tell you about. The Perseid meteor shower will be peaking this Saturday and Sunday. Our photographer, Scotty Williams, is out at Rooster Rock right now giving us this live shot of the moon out in the gorge, of course. That is where OMSI will be hosting a viewing event at 9 o'clock Saturday night. We've got a map up on KGW.com right now with a list of all the best viewing spots. The Perseid meteor shower, of course, known as the best meteor shower of the year. We're talking like 50 to 100 meteors an hour. It's best visible in dark locations away from city lights, so like Timberline, Bald Peak, Scappoose, so many other spots that you can find. Also, a fun side note, when you Google meteor shower or Perseid meteor shower, you get a mini sky show right there on your screen.
There's that map you were talking about, Christine.
Yep, and this is the Googling we were talking about, I think. There it is.
My favorite part of the story was your face next to the moon. Rod.
Skies will be clear.
That's my question.
So good visibility. Years ago, we were doing a story on there was a beautiful full moon, and photographer Scotty found the moon. And the photographer asked, Rod, where should I look to see the full moon? I went, look up.
This is the best spot. It's not down here.
So most of these meteor showers, they go on for a week or more. It's just that we typically shout out the day that's going to be the highest probability of seeing the most meteors, which, as you mentioned, will be Saturday night into Sunday morning. But if you look up tonight, it'll be clear. You could probably see some as well.
I would think starting Sunday, no one's going to want to go outside to look up because they're going to be hiding inside to beat.
Well, that's true. Although at night, we're lucky in our climate. On the hottest days, it's still pretty comfortable at night. Still pretty comfortable in the morning.
Says the man with AC in his home.
We'll be down. Well, we'll be down to about, if you're outdoors, we'll be down to about 70 degrees at night. You know. much of the country, when it hits 100 degrees, if you go back to the Midwest, it ain't nice in the middle of the night. It ain't nice in the morning. It's never nice. But we're blessed that way. Even when we hit 116 in June of 2021, we still dipped into the 70s overnight during those stretches. All right, excessive heat watch. We showed you this map Monday through Thursday. Here are the updated numbers for the Rose City. I've fudged a little, but not much. Sunday still the first day that could hit 100 degrees. I'm leaving it at 99. And then we go 103 Monday, 103 Tuesday, 103 Wednesday, and potentially 100 degrees on Thursday. It looks like Friday could still hit 90, but will be starting to cool off somewhat. And to me, this is interesting. Chasing a 1941 heat record. A lot of the records, almost all of the heat records until recently, the big ones, were back in the decade of the 1940s. Now, we've taken some of those records away since we've started to warm up the summers of 2000 plus. But one of the big records, 5 consecutive 90-degree days, July 13th through 17th, 1941. I'll talk more about the other stuff at 5:38. But if we hit 100 on Sunday, then potentially we could equal that record of 5 consecutive days. No issues traveling around Oregon and Washington. Rain down in California this morning, but we are clear here in Portland, and basically it's clear across Oregon and Washington at this hour. So everybody's going to be getting the sun. Portland's numbers 86 today, 89 tomorrow. We'll start to noticeably warm up, and 99, 103 through Wednesday, 100 and Thursday. All these numbers potentially, all these days potentially, would be records for the day. Back to you.
Okay, yeah, good information to keep tabs on. Thank you, Rod. More information we want to let you know about the KGW School Supply Drive going on right now. One of the best ways you can help is to give online, and we've made it super easy. All you have to do is go to kgw.com/school and click Donate Cash. When you give online, you'll receive a Columbia Sportswear Employee Store Pass too. We want to thank On Point Community Credit Union, Safeway, Pacific Power, and Dick's Auto Group for everything they're doing to make this year's supply drive a success.